The watcher in the dark. The room was quiet. Too quiet. Zira sat cross-legged on the small chair near the window, her glowing purple eyes watching carefully. Her thin fingers gripped a scanning device that blinked softly in the dark. She wasn't blinking. She couldn't. On the bed in front of her, the human boy named Eli was lying still. His chest rose and fell slowly. His arms rested flat by his sides. His face looked peaceful, almost too peaceful. Zira tilted her head. "This is not normal," she whispered to herself in her own language. She had only been on Earth for 7 days. As part of an alien peace exchange, Zira was staying with a human host family. It was supposed to be safe, a learning experience, but this was terrifying. Eli hadn't moved in almost 3 hours. Zira stood up slowly and walked closer to him. She leaned over his body and stared at his face. No reaction. No response. She waved her hand in front of his eyes. Nothing. His eyes were closed tight. His skin was warm, but motionless. "What are you doing?" She whispered. Zyra pulled out her scanner and pointed it at his chest. The display showed normal heartbeats, pulse steady. "Oxygen good," she frowned. "Then why is he shut down?" Back on Zira's planet, rest was different. Her people rested in cycles, light and alert, never fully unconscious. Sleep, true sleep, was something only the sick or injured experienced. It was not natural to go offline completely. Not like this. She touched his arm gently. "Eli," she whispered, "can you hear me?" No answer. She pressed a button on her wrist. A soft light blinked, and she recorded a message. Log entry 117. Host subject appears to be non-responsive. Body signs are stable, but brain activity is low. Human may be entering death state. Further observation required. Suddenly, Eli let out a soft snore. Zira jumped back, her head hitting the lamp. "Oh!" she hissed. The snore turned into a mumble. Eli rolled slightly, pulling the blanket up to his chin. Zira froze. "He's dreaming?" She remembered something Eli had said earlier that day. "I sleep at night, Zira. It's normal. All humans do it." She didn't believe him then. She thought he meant rest, not shut down, not die temporarily. She paced back and forth now, whispering to herself. What if it's a defense mechanism? What if it's a trap? Or some energy-saving mode? Her mind raced. Why would such a physically strong and intelligent species make themselves completely helpless for so many hours? It made no sense. On any alien world, a creature that did this would be eaten by predators or captured by enemies. It was foolish, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe there was a reason. A secret. She walked back to the bed and leaned over again. She stared closely at his face. Eli's lips moved. "No, more. Pizza," he muttered in his sleep. Zira blinked. "What?" she said. Was this part of the sleep process? Random speech? She recorded another log entry. Subject appears to be communicating while unconscious. Words are unclear, possibly related to food. Strange behavior. She pulled out a small translator orb and whispered, "Translate dream speech to logical phrases." The orb blinked, paused, then said, "The human appears to be dreaming of overconsumption of Earth food item known as pizza. Emotional tone. Regret." Zira stared. "You're telling me he's in another world, made by his brain, and he regrets eating too much food?" The orb beeped in agreement. She didn't know whether to laugh or panic. Suddenly, Eli stirred. He blinked his eyes open, looked at her, and screamed, "Ah, Zira, were you watching me sleep?" Zira nodded quickly, stepping back. "Yes, you stopped working. I thought you were dead." Eli sat up, rubbing his face. "I wasn't dead. I was asleep." "That's normal." Zira tilted her head. "You call this normal? You lay motionless, unguarded, For many Earth hours. You speak nonsense, you do not react, your systems power down. That's called resting, Eli said, yawning. Humans need sleep to recharge. Recharge? Zyra repeated. You are not machines. No, but our brains and bodies need time to repair, he said. It's biology. Sleep is how we heal. Think of it like soft reboot. Zyra stared in silence. She slowly sat down on the chair again. I must study this more, she whispered. Eli was already snuggling back into the blanket. Just don't stare at me all night. It's creepy. Zyra ignored him. In her mind, new theories formed, new questions. Why would a species evolve to trust the world so much that they let go of everything for hours? What did sleep really mean to humans? And what happened in the place called dreams? She didn't know yet, but she was going to find out, even if it meant staying awake all night. Again, sleep is death. With a timer, Zyra did not sleep. Again, while the earth outside went dark, and every creature on the property rested, she sat in the corner of her guest room, wide awake and alert. Her glowing eyes blinked less and less as the hours passed. She didn't dare let her guard down. She watched the family through a security screen she had placed secretly in the hallway. One by one, the lights went out. The human mother, the human father, the siblings, all of them unconscious, including Eli. Zyra leaned closer to the screen. All of them shut down at the same time. This is not coincidence. This is ritual, she said. On her home planet, Virelia, rituals were sacred. But this one felt more like a shared suicide attempt every single night. She pulled up data from the previous night's scan. Heart rate, brainwave patterns, movement tracking. She had collected everything. She even added heat signatures and breathing maps. The results only confused her more. Why would a whole species stop functioning in a world full of danger? She asked the computer. Even animals don't fully shut down. Her translation orb replied, humans require 6 to 8 hours of sleep daily. Lack of sleep leads to hallucinations, sickness, and death. Zyra's eyes widened. So, without this sleep, they will die? Yes, the orb confirmed. She felt a chill crawl over her skin. To her, it was like saying, if they don't die a little every night, they die permanently. The next morning, Eli was in the kitchen, eating toast and sipping coffee. Zyra walked in, her hair slightly messy and her steps a bit unsteady. Morning, Z, Eli said with a smile. You look like you haven't slept. I haven't, Zyra replied seriously. Because I was studying your death cycle. Eli choked on his toast. What? She sat down across from him. Your sleep cycle is a slow-motion shutdown. You call it rest, but it looks like death. You stop reacting. You speak nonsense. Your memories shift. It's dangerous. Eli shook his head. Zyra, it's not dangerous. It's natural. You're overthinking it. She leaned forward. No. You are underthinking it. I scanned your brain. Your mind lights up in strange areas. You have false images. Fake memories. You even saw your dead pet, didn't you? Eli's face froze. How did you know that? Zyra nodded. I read the dream frequency. You dreamt of a small creature, fur, barking. It ran through a field. Eli smiled sadly. That was Max. He died when I was 10. Zyra narrowed her eyes. Your brain showed you something that no longer exists. Your species accepts these visions as normal? They're not just visions, Eli said. Dreams help us understand things we can't when we're awake. Feelings, pain, fear, loss. The brain heals during sleep. Zyra paused. This concept was too alien for her. Healing through chaos? How do you know the dreams are safe? She asked. Eli shrugged. They're not always safe. We have nightmares too, but that's part of the process. Like scrubbing old wounds. Zyra stood up and walked to the window. On my world, dreams are symptoms of infection. Mind corruption. We are trained to stay conscious. Eli tilted his head. No one sleeps on your planet? We rest, but not like you. Our minds stay half awake. We never enter deep cycles. We can still move, fight, react. Eli smirked. Sounds exhausting. Zira turned to him. Sounds safer. That night, Zira sat by the window again. But this time, something had changed. She wasn't just watching Eli sleep. She was watching the question why. Why did humans accept being so vulnerable every night? She checked the time. 2:03 Earth time. Everyone in the house was asleep. Zira pulled out her own blanket. For the first time, she laid it on the floor and sat down with her legs crossed. She set a small sleep monitor device next to her head and closed her eyes. Her hands trembled slightly. Her mind raced. She was afraid. I will only do this for 1 hour, she whispered. She slowed her breathing. Focused her thoughts. Darkness came. At first, everything was quiet. Then she saw colors. Shapes. Voices. A warm field stretched out before her. Strange but familiar. Her mother stood near a glowing lake. Her brother flew above the grass, laughing. Zira felt herself crying, but also smiling. Suddenly, the sky darkened. Her father appeared, but his face was missing. A loud buzzing sound rang in her ears. She tried to scream, but her mouth wouldn't open. Then a voice whispered, "You're not safe here." Zira gasped and sat up. Her body was soaked in sweat. The sleep monitor beeped with alarms. She had only been unconscious for 48 minutes. She looked around the room. Everything was normal. But she wasn't. She felt shaken, confused, touched. "What was that?" she said softly. The door opened. Eli stood there yawning. "Did you try sleeping?" Zira nodded slowly. "I saw my family. I heard a warning. I couldn't move." Eli sat beside her. "That's called a dream, or maybe a nightmare. It's your brain talking to you in its own strange language." Zira stared at the floor. It was terrifying. "But it felt like something I needed," Eli smiled. "That's the magic of sleep." Night terrors and hidden truths. Zira didn't speak much the next day. She sat on the back porch, legs pulled to her chest, her glowing eyes fixed on the clouds. Her mind wasn't in the sky. It was back in that dream, the colors, the faces, the buzzing voice that whispered to her. It still echoed in her ears. "You're not safe here, ... She shivered. The door creaked. Eli stepped outside, holding 2 cups. "Hot cocoa?" he asked. Zira blinked. "Is it poison?" Eli laughed. "No, it's chocolate, with sugar. It helps humans feel better." She accepted it with caution and stared into the cup. "Why do your people drink this brown liquid for comfort?" "Same reason we sleep. Because it makes us feel human." Zira sipped it. It was warm, sweet, strange, but not bad. Later, inside Eli's room, Zira set up her holoscreen. Dozens of human brainwave patterns floated in front of her, recorded from every night the family slept. "Why are you scanning everyone?" Eli asked from his bed. Zira didn't look away from the data. "I want to know what happens when the human brain enters the dream stage. The deeper sleep gets, the more strange signals appear. The data doesn't match any logic system I know." Eli shrugged. "Dreams don't follow logic. They're like art. You can't measure everything." Zira frowned. "That is the problem." She turned off the screen and sat on the edge of his bed. "Last night, I dreamed of my family. I haven't seen them in 3 cycles. But the faces, they were so clear. Too real. Then a dark shape appeared. It whispered to me." Eli sat up, curious. "What did it say?" Zira hesitated. "It said I'm not safe here. But I don't know what that means." Eli was quiet for a moment. "Sometimes dreams pull things from our deepest fears. Maybe it's your mind trying to warn you. Or maybe it's just memory soup." "Memory soup?" he chuckled. Yeah, like all your thoughts and fears and hopes mixed together. That's what dreams are for us. Zira stood up, pacing. On my world we call dreams chaos visions, only broken. Minds experience them. That's why we avoid full sleep to stay sane. Eli leaned forward. But maybe it's the opposite. Maybe your people are more broken because they never let themselves dream. Zira stopped walking. That idea had never entered her mind. That night, Zira did something different. Instead of watching Eli sleep, she walked through the hallway and entered the family library. It was an old room filled with human books, many dusty and unread. She waved her scanner over the shelves. Titles lit up: The Psychology of Sleep, Dreams and the Unconscious, Sleep Disorders of the Mind. She pulled a few down and opened them. Page after page. Humans described strange visions, flying, falling, running through endless forests. Some believed dreams came from another world. Some thought they were messages from the dead. Others believed in a place called the dream realm. Zira whispered, "Humans have been confused by sleep for centuries. They still don't fully understand it." One chapter caught her eye. The night hag phenomenon. She read quickly. Many humans report a dark figure sitting on their chest during sleep paralysis, unable to move, breathe, or scream. Zira froze. That sounded exactly like what she had felt. The whisper, the stillness, the fear. Was this night hag real? Or was something else hiding inside the human dream? She turned to the next chapter, Lucid Dreaming and Control. It spoke of people learning to control their dreams, flying on command, changing the world around them, even speaking to others. Zira's eyes lit up. So humans train their minds inside dreams? She whispered, "Maybe dreams are not madness. Maybe they're a battlefield." In the morning, Zira didn't wait for Eli. She stormed into the kitchen holding the book. "Why did you not tell me some humans fight inside their dreams?" she demanded. Eli rubbed his eyes. "What? This?" she said, holding out the open book. "Lucid Dreaming, Sleep Warriors. Night hags. Why does your species treat these things as jokes?" "They are serious," Eli blinked. "Okay, first. Good morning. Second. Yeah, lucid dreaming is real, but not everyone can do it." "Teach me," Zira said firmly. "Now?" "Yes, tonight." Eli raised an eyebrow. "You want me to teach you how to take control inside your dreams?" She nodded. "If there is something dangerous in that realm, I need to face it. I need to know if sleep is truly safe." Eli smiled. "You're turning into a real human, Zira." She didn't smile back. "No, I am becoming something stronger." That night, she prepared for battle, not outside, but inside her own mind. She set her alarm for 3 a.m., just in case she needed to escape the dream. She whispered the human phrase Eli taught her. "I know I'm dreaming. I control my dream. I am not afraid." As her body shut down, her mind drifted once again. And the shadows waited. The midnight visitor. The house was still. The kind of stillness that made the air feel heavier. It was midnight. Everyone in the house was asleep. Except Zyra. Again. That tonight, she wasn't just watching. She was waiting. Her earlier dreams still haunted her, her family's faces, the voice, the darkness pressing down. She had failed to control the dream, even after repeating the words Eli gave her. She had woken up with her hands shaking. Now, she sat with her back to the wall, legs folded, holding her scanner tightly. Her ears twitched at every sound. She didn't feel tired anymore. She felt alert and hunted. Her eyes snapped to the hallway outside her door. Click. A soft noise, the sound of a door slowly opening. Zira stood up silently and walked to the edge of her room. The hallway was dark, but her alien vision adjusted quickly. One of the bedroom doors was open, Eli's room, but he was supposed to be asleep. Zira stepped into the hall. "Eli," she called out softly. No response. She moved slowly, her bare feet making no sound on the wooden floor. As she approached, she noticed something odd. Eli's bed was empty. The blanket was still warm. But he was gone. Her pulse quickened. She turned to leave, but then she saw it. A shadow, moving, not walking. Floating, at the far end of the hallway. She froze. Her breath caught in her throat. The shadow didn't have a face. Just a shape, tall, silent, watching her. "Who's there?" she said, louder. The figure said nothing. It just stared. Zira took a cautious step forward. "You are not a human. And you are not a dream." Still no reply. She raised her scanner and pointed it at the shadow. No reading. No heat. No data. "Impossible," she whispered. The figure started to move, not toward her, but into the library room at the end of the hall. Zira hesitated only a second before she followed. The library door creaked open on its own. Inside, the shadow was gone, but something else was there now. The books had fallen from the shelves. Papers floated through the air as if disturbed by a wind that didn't exist. Zira stepped inside slowly, heart pounding. She turned in a slow circle, eyes scanning everything. Then she saw the old wooden desk. Ele's father's desk. It was glowing faintly. She walked closer. On top of the desk was an ancient-looking book, thick leather cover. No title. It hadn't been there before. Her hand hovered over it. Then slowly she opened it. Page 1. Drawings. Strange symbols. A human shape surrounded by black mist. A circle of eyes. A staircase made of bones. Zira's fingers trembled as she turned the next page. More symbols. More drawings. Then, words in old Earth language. Her translator buzzed softly, trying to decode it. The orb finally spoke. "Dreams are gates. Most lead nowhere, but some lead to watchers." Zira whispered. "Watchers?" She turned the page. There it was, a drawing of a faceless shadow, exactly like the one she had seen in the hallway. Below it, some watchers wait, some follow, some feed. She took a step back, her voice shaking. "What feeds?" The orb answered softly. "The watchers that feed do not eat bodies. They eat thoughts, fear, memories. The more you dream of them, the more real they become." Zira slammed the book shut. She ran out of the library, breathing hard. No, this is just human superstition, a story. But deep inside, she didn't believe that. She burst into Eli's room. He sat up quickly, rubbing his eyes. "Zira, what's wrong?" "You were gone," she said. "I saw a figure. It went into your father's library. I found a book. And Eli, it described what I saw." Eli frowned. "What kind of book?" She shook her head. "Old, very old. It talked about watchers. Dream creatures that grow stronger the more we think of them." Eli stood and grabbed his robe. "You mean like shadow people? Sleep paralysis demons?" Zira's face went pale. "You know them?" Eli hesitated. "I've read stories. Some people say they see the same dark figure. It just stands there, watches them. They can't move or scream. They say it feels real." Zira looked at him. "What if it is real?" Eli didn't answer. Later that night, Zira sat outside under the stars. She looked up at the sky and whispered into her wrist log. Log entry 147. Human sleep may connect to something larger, possibly dangerous, a shared dream space, a network of thoughts. If that is true, then sleep is not just healing. It is opening a door, and someone, or something, is on the other side. The wind blew softly through the trees. Zira stared into the dark yard, and just for a second, she thought she saw the shadow. Again, standing near the edge of the woods, watching, waiting. Sleepless Zira made a decision. She would not sleep. Again, not until she understood what was waiting in her dreams. Not until she knew the shadow wasn't real, or how to fight it if it was. She stayed awake the next night, and the next, and the 1. After that dot to keep herself alert, she used alien stimulant patches, small hex-shaped tabs pressed against her neck. Each one kept her mind active for another 12 hours. Her eyes stayed sharp. Her body, not so much by the 5th day, her hands began to shake. Her thoughts jumped from one idea to the next. Her tongue sometimes forgot how to form Earth words, but she didn't care. The less she slept, the less the shadow could reach her. Eli noticed right away. "Zira, you're getting worse," he said on the 6th morning. "You're pale. Your hands are ice. You haven't eaten real food. You're not even blinking much." She sat in the corner of the living room, scanning every corner like a guard dog. "I'm fine." "No, you're not," Eli said. "Zira, you need sleep, real sleep. You're not a machine. I'm not a victim either," she snapped. Eli knelt beside her, looking her in the eyes. "What did you see that scared you so much?" Zira's voice dropped to a whisper. "It's not what I saw. It's what I felt. The dream world is not a safe place. I thought it was just memory chaos. But now, it feels like something is reaching back. I think it knows I saw it." Eli sighed. "I believe you." "I do, but not sleeping won't protect you forever. You'll collapse, and then the shadow will come anyway." Zira shook her head. "I'll fight it awake." "No," Eli said softly. "You won't, because you're already losing the fight, just not the way you think." By the 7th night, Zira began to hallucinate. She saw movement in corners where nothing stood, heard whispers in her ears while standing in daylight. Shadows stretched too long across the floor. Faces in the mirrors moved when she did not. Once she reached for her scanner, and it melted into a puddle of silver, but when she blinked, it was normal again. She pressed her hands to her temples. "I am breaking," she whispered. Her orb hovered beside her, scanning her vitals. Cognitive decline at 42%. Emotional stability low. Immediate rest advised. "No," she said again. The orb blinked red. "Warning. Emergency threshold approaching." Zira ignored it. She stared at her reflection in the hallway mirror. Her eyes were sunken, skin pale blue and bruised. She didn't recognize herself. Behind her reflection, the shadow stood tall, still, watching. Zyra screamed and spun around. Nothing. No one was there. She fell to the floor, gasping. "I can't sleep," she whispered. "I can't." Eli found her an hour later, curled in the corner of the hallway, mumbling to herself. He didn't speak. He just sat beside her and gently wrapped a blanket around her shoulders. "You're not alone," he said. "Even if you feel like you are." She didn't answer. Her eyes just stared into the dark. Later that night, Eli walked into the room with a small device. "What's that?" she asked, voice dry and broken. "It's a lucid dream assistant," he said. "Human tech. Basic stuff, but it helps some people take control during sleep." Zira looked at him with tired, suspicious eyes. "You want me to sleep with a machine watching my mind?" He nodded. "Yes, because I'll be right here, watching with it. You won't be alone. You'll have backup." She hesitated. "I don't want to see it again," she said. "Then take back control," Eli replied. "Use your mind like a weapon. Turn the dream into your space, not its." Zira looked down at her trembling hands. She nodded once. That night, for the first time in days, Zira lay on a soft mattress again. She didn't like it. Her body was so tense it refused to relax. But slowly, with Eli sitting beside her and the assistant machine humming softly, her muscles eased, her breathing slowed, her mind slipped into the dark. At first, there was only black, then came the stars, then a planet, then her old home. Her family sat at a long silver table, smiling at her. Zira ran to them. "You're real," she whispered. But then, the table vanished. And the sky cracked. And there it was, the shadow. Tall, watching. She felt her chest tighten. Her feet refused to move. The shadow stepped forward. But this time Zira stepped forward too. She shouted, "I'm not afraid of you." The shadow paused. "I know this is a dream. You can't hurt me. I don't belong to you." The shadow trembled. Light spilled from Zira's hands. Bright, silver light. She walked toward it. The shadow hissed but backed away. "I choose to." "Wake up now," she said. And just like that, the dream broke. Zira sat up in bed, gasping for breath. Eli leaned in. "Zira, are you okay?" She nodded slowly, then smiled. "I faced it," she said, "and I didn't lose." Into the dream world Zira had slept. And for the first time in her life, she had won inside a dream. The next morning, she stood outside the house barefoot, letting the morning sun warm her face. The light felt different now, softer, safer, brighter. Eli stepped onto the porch behind her, yawning and holding 2 mugs. "Hot chocolate?" Zira turned and took it with a small nod. "I still think it smells like burnt tree sap." "But you drank all of it last time," he teased. She sipped again. "Only to study your strange emotional connection to liquids." They both laughed, but under the humor, something had changed. Zira no longer feared sleep. She understood it now. Not completely, but enough to know it wasn't the enemy. Later that day, she began preparing for what she called Phase 2. "You're going back into the dream world?" Eli asked, surprised. Zira nodded, packing her scanner, neural link band, and her translator orb. "Yes, last night I was only defending myself. This time I want to explore. What else hides in the dream space? Is it just shadows and memories? Or something deeper?" Eli raised an eyebrow. "So you're treating it like a mission now?" Zira answered with calm eyes. "It always was." That night, Zira returned to the same bed, same room, same quiet world, but her mindset was different. This time she wanted to dream. She lay down, attached the neural band across her temples, and whispered into her log, "Entry 154, Voluntary Descent into Human Sleep State. Objective: Explore the subconscious landscape. Personal goal: Reclaim the dream." The sleep assistant activated. A soft hum filled the room. She closed her eyes. The black came quickly, but she didn't resist it. She floated. And soon, the darkness cracked like glass. Color spilled through. She stood on a vast field of floating stones, suspended over endless sky. Purple clouds drifted above her, glowing with golden lightning. The air felt alive, buzzing softly with invisible voices. She whispered, "This is not memory. This is something else." She stepped forward, and the stones lit up under her feet. Then came the sound, laughter. Familiar. She turned and gasped. Her younger self, barely 10 Earth years old, stood a few meters away. The girl smiled brightly. "You finally came back." Zira felt her heart twist. "This isn't real." "I am as real as you want me to be," the girl said. "Why are you here?" "To remind you who you were before fear." Zira hesitated. "I wasn't afraid." The girl tilted her head. "Then why did you run from your own mind?" Before Zira could answer, the wind changed. The sky cracked again. A dark shape formed on the horizon. The shadow was back, but something was different. It didn't rush toward her. It stood still, and behind it, more shadows appeared. Dozens. Hundreds. Each one a different shape. Zira looked at them. "These are dreams?" "No," the girl said. "These are everyone's dreams. This is the collective space." Zira stepped back, her voice low. "Shared dreaming?" The girl nodded. "You're inside what humans call the subconscious web. Sometimes dreamers wander here, most forget, but you remembered." Zira looked at the shadow she once feared. It no longer felt like a monster. It felt like a part of her. The girl touched her hand. "You made it strong with fear. You gave it power when you ran." Zira closed her eyes. "Then I take that power back." She opened her eyes and stepped forward. The shadows didn't move. They watched, listened, accepted her presence. Zyra spoke softly. I see you. I name you. I understand now. The lid's shadow bowed, then faded. One by one, the others vanished. Into mist. The dreamscape shifted again. Now she stood in a garden lush. Green, peaceful. The young girl was gone. Only Zyra remained. When she woke, it was morning. Birds chirped outside the window. Eli sat in the chair nearby. One leg bouncing nervously. Her eyes opened slowly. He jumped up. You're back, Zyra nodded. Yes. Well, what did you see? She sat up. Everything. My fears, my memories, my past. My strength. Eli leaned closer. And the shadow? It was never just a monster, she said. It was a part of me. The part I was too afraid to face. Eli stared amazed. You went deeper than I ever have. Zyra looked at the rising sun. Sleep isn't just about rest. It's a journey. A mirror, a battlefield, a home. Eli smiled. So, do you still think sleep is weakness? She shook her head. Sleep is not weakness, she said. It's bravery. The secret power of sleep. Zyra sat at the center of the family living room. She had moved the furniture aside and placed small memory crystals in a circle around her. Her translator orb hovered above her head, recording everything. Eli sat nearby, holding a steaming cup of tea, watching her closely. Are you sure about this? He asked. Zyra nodded, her voice calm. This is my final report for the Varelian High Council. They must know what I've learned. She closed her eyes and began. Log entry 160. Final. Subject. Human sleep. Summary. Sleep is not a flaw. It is not a mistake. It is not a shutdown. It is survival. It is strength. And it is something my people must learn from. Zyra opened her eyes and looked at Eli. I used to think humans were reckless for allowing themselves to become so vulnerable every night. Now I see it takes courage to let go, to trust yourself to dream and return. Eli smiled. Told. We're not as soft as we look. Zyra chuckled softly. You are soft, but that softness hides something powerful. Later that day, Zyra stood by the window, staring up at the sky. Her time on Earth was almost over. The Varelian ship would arrive in less than 24 hours to bring her home. Eli joined her at the window. You going to miss us? He asked. Zyra turned to him. I will miss the way you people laugh so easily. And the way you fall asleep in the middle of danger like it's normal. Eli grinned. Hey, sleep is sacred. Zyra looked thoughtful. That word sacred. We don't use it for things we don't understand. But I think that's what sleep is. A sacred space. A chance to become more than we are. That night, Eli stayed up with her for one last Earth evening. They sat under the stars in the backyard, wrapped in blankets. Will you sleep tonight? He asked. Zyra nodded. Yes, not because I must, but because I want to. Eli looked at her. Not afraid anymore? She shook her head. Not of the shadows. Not of the dreams. I understand now, they are part of being alive. You humans don't run from your minds, you face them, even when it hurts. Ayla raised his cup. To the dreamers. Zyra touched her cup to his. To the brave. When she slept that night, her dream was peaceful. She walked through her old city on Varelia. But it was different. Warmer. Full of light. She passed by her mother, her father, and her brother. They nodded at her proud. Then she reached a garden, and in the garden was the shadow, but now it looked different. It had shape, form, not faceless, not frightening. It had her eyes. Zyra approached slowly. You're not fear anymore. The figure nodded. You're a memory, she said. You're me. The figure smiled and vanished like smoke in the wind. She awoke with the sunrise glowing through the window. And for the first time since arriving on Earth, she felt whole. The ship arrived with a low hum. It landed on the far side of the fields behind Eli's house. Tall and silver, sharp-edged and cold. Just like home. Zira stood at the edge of the yard, her travel bag slung over her shoulder. Eli walked beside her in silence. "This is it," she said. "Yeah," he said, eyes low. They stood like that for a moment. Then Eli spoke. "So, what will you tell your people?" Zira looked at the ship, then at him. "I'll tell them we were wrong. That's it." She smiled. "I'll also tell them that humans are more advanced than we ever imagined. Not because of your tech or your weapons, but because of what you do every night. You face the unknown willingly. You go into the dark with no weapons, no shields. And you come back stronger. That's not weakness. That's power." Eli chuckled. "You're gonna make me cry, alien girl." Zira looked at him. "You're not so bad for a sleep-obsessed human." He opened his arms, and after a second, she stepped into the hug. "I'll dream of you," she whispered. "Same," he said. As the ship lifted into the sky, Eli watched it vanish into the clouds. Back in her seat aboard the vessel, Zira opened her log one last time. Final note: if Varelians are to grow stronger, we must stop fearing sleep. We must stop running from our own minds. Let the humans teach us. They already dream of stars, we only stare at them. She smiled and leaned back, and as her ship sped toward the stars, she slept. Not because she was tired, but because she was finally unafraid.